Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Good evening, Malcontents. This is David. I am the Malcontent, and it is another Malcontentment happy hour. Today is Thursday, November 18th, 2021. I've had literally 2 hours of sleep. I am hanging by my fingernails here, but I said I wasn't doing it Monday, so we're delivering the goods today. My microphone is distorted. Well, there. Is that better? No, that's not better. There. Is that better? That should be a lot better. All right. That should be way better. What the heck? It's very, very hot. We're going to adjust the gains. Please stand by while I adjust the gains. All right, that should be a lot better. Word leather yellow, there we go. Boom. Thank you for the heads up on that, by the way. No, it was clipping big time, and Shelley was clipping big time. When they said it, I looked over in the bars and I could see. I got things kind of configured around. Anyway, I was messing with the mixing board earlier, just fidgeting with it. But in all seriousness, 2 hours of sleep. Nothing wakes you up faster if you use a CPAP machine than a power outage, and when the pressure stops. Plus, you're all Darth Vaderified, but you don't have the going on. So anyway, that was my experience last night. Wake up choking to death, basically. I guess my understanding, there were power lines down. I don't know if it was car v pole or just power lines decided to fall down because why not? But anyway, that's what happened last night, and it just it messed up my Christmas. Well, that's really weird. I just completely lost the chat client. Nothing I did. It just literally, it just went bloop. I can't see your comments. Oops, something went wrong. Try reloading the page. Yeah, no kidding, something went wrong. All right, it just reloaded. I lost all your comments. It's going to be one of those shows because I'm tired. All right, let's go ahead and just, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. There's actually a fair number of things. There's actually a lot of things to talk about tonight, although I can't sit here and say, I have opinions on all of it. I mean, there's some things it's I know this is going on, but between work and fighting, staying awake today, when I say work, I mean real work. It's been, I'm a little behind on some of the news stories here. I do have an announcement, though. Totally forgot. I should have put this on the ticker. Everyone's going to be excited about this, I think. First thing I guess we'll do is we'll start where we always start out, which is talking about the C disease, the COVID, and what's going on with that. All eyes are on the FDA and the CDC and what's going to happen. Will they approve boosters for all or not? The FDA committee was supposed to meet today. I haven't seen anything to say that they have passed a recommendation on to officials over at the CDC. I don't know if they're just planning to coordinate that in one big move. We've written a ton of stories on this already. Basically, the nature of this would be anybody who is 18 or older, if you got the mRNA vaxes, Pfizer or Moderna, and your second dose was 180 or more days ago, doesn't matter your living situation, your age, your comorbidities, you can go get a booster. For Johnson & Johnson, you can already do it. If you got the J&J, it was more than 60 days ago. J&J was for 18 and over in the first place. You can go get a booster. Here in Washington State on May 30, 3.3 million people 16 and older were fully vaccinated. Excuse me. All of those people will have reached the 6-month mark by the end of November, which is 12 days away. So you essentially have 3.3 million people that need boosters. Now, I know there are people who are 16 and 17. We don't have the exact breakdown on how many people that is. But let's keep in mind that vaccinations for 16 and 17-year-olds did not become available in the state of Washington until April 25th, I believe. So you have a very, very short period of time that's in there. And actually, now that I think about it, unless you weren't eligible for the J&J, there is nobody in that group, now that I think about it, that would have been fully vaccinated if they got an mRNA vaccine. So back it up. 3.3 million. 675,000 have received boosters. That's a gap of 2.6 million Washingtonians that really need to go get booster shots. So the state of Washington has said that they are going to hold the course and wait for the federal government on their decision. You have, I believe we're up to 20 states that have either issued guidance, directives for either all of the residents within the states or residents that live in high transmission counties to get boosters, and for healthcare providers not to block people who want to get a booster shot, even if they don't meet the federal guidelines. Some states have done directives, like Colorado. Other states have just gone, please. And there's a couple of other states that are like, we know the feds are going to change the rules and we're waiting to do that. There is a ton of rumors going around. And quite frankly, I get the media has a job to do. I get they have to ask questions. But like reporters were repeating these questions over and over again. They were rephrasing it in the presser with Jay Inslee today, which I just think, and the way some of the people were asking the questions just feeds into the rumors of the federal government's going to change the standard, and if you don't get a booster, you're not considered fully vaxxed. Governor Inslee did reveal that in the CDC, there is some discussion that is going on about making that happen, but there is nothing to the level of we want to make this official policy. We've written the story before that is outlined and explained. Nobody ever said that the vaccines would be forever. The only person that came remotely close to it was former social media icon Donald Trump, full stop. He actually never even fully came out and said, hey, they're forever. Trump basically said they could last a little while, they could last a long time, they could last forever. I don't know. I'm hoping forever. Of course, if I did it more in his, I don't know, it could be It could be a short time. It could be a long time. It could be forever. I'm hoping forever. Aren't you hoping forever? Everybody's forever. We want forever, but maybe it won't be forever. I don't know. A lot of good people are talking about it. That's probably closer to the way that he put it. But no one said forever. No one. But that's not gonna deter the nattering nabobs of disinformation to use that as their nattering nabobbery of disinformation on that point. I've already been advising people, and I'll advise people here on the air. If you are looking at that, and we have a story that's up on malcontentnews.com, it's pinned. It's not in the featured stories. It's the very first story. We've pinned it. It's up there, like who qualifies for a booster. If you look down that entire list and go, well, I'm none of this, your life is too perfect, I would counter, after going through all that list and then finding out that you're not eligible for a booster, doesn't that make you depressed? Doesn't that give you anxiety? And then if you were feeling depressed and anxious after looking at that list, maybe you should go back and look at the list a second time. But at this point, as I said, it probably doesn't matter because all signs are pointing to boosters for all be approved tomorrow. We've beaten that dead horse into the ground. New cases in the state of Washington are just kind of drifting downward. I had really hoped we would be in a much better position than where we're at now coming into the holidays. I'm feeling really warm and fuzzy. I mean, everybody knows what was my position. Now it's literally 28 days ago now because I wrote it on October 20 that we got a sixth wave coming and we need to get ready for it. And part of it is we need to do boosters for all. Thank goodness that's happening. I wish that happened faster. We need to start vaccinating the 5 and 11-year-olds. And we're going to have to hope for some lucky breaks. And we're going to have to hope that the antivirals get approved and that they're as effective as promised. So there's a number of things that kind of have to go our way to have things go our way. There's a couple of things I am going to talk about tonight on this topic. There's another interesting thing that's happening in the state data. We're no longer seeing like this uniform high case rate in Washington state. What we're starting to see now is hotspots. So we're starting to move away from purely how vaccinated a county is dictating the case rate in those counties. What's happening is you're having kind of something is going to flame up in a county. It doesn't matter if that county is highly vaccinated or low vaccinated within reason. There is an exception to this. And we're seeing things bubble up in there. Good example of this, Chelan County is now 60.2% vaccinated. They just crossed over in the most recent drop of data on Monday. But they have a very, very high transmission rate. The cases are still moving through this 39.8% that are unvaccinated because of the very, very big political divide. And unfortunately, this has all been politicized. That county is actually impacting on its own the case rate by almost 20 per 100,000. If you strip that county out, that rate drops down to about 306. It's at 328. It's actually the highest it's the highest group in the state. Now, I said there was an exception, and that is for the counties that are 70%, that's total population, or more fully vaccinated. Here's the other thing, too. The state dashboard, King County is updated to include 5 and 11-year-olds. State data from Washington has not updated yet. So when we say 70% fully vaccinated, that's not counting the 5 and 11-year-olds. None of them are fully vaccinated yet. Of course, they won't get there until December. And 18% of all Washington kids, 5 to 11, have already gotten their first dose. I'm like, that makes me thrilled to see those numbers. But for those counties that are 70% higher, they have consistently now had a dramatically lower case rate And that includes King County. So this is not an issue of, well, the San Juan counties are really remote. Nobody's there. So that's how come there's not, because it isn't just San Juan now, right? King County is the most populous county. It's the most densely populated county. And they're in that 70% bracket. So what does this tell me? The faster we can get counties above 70% of the total population vaccinated, the faster we can get rid of the masks, get rid of the vaccine passports, and just get back to flipping life. And once again, this is what we were saying almost 2 years ago. It's like there's a group of people that are acting like the kids that sit at the back of the bus that, like, everyone got their recess taken away because of these 3 idiots that sit at the back of the bus, and they were just doing stupid shit, and the bus driver kept telling them to stop, and then the bus driver just blamed the entire bus. Yeah, that's like who you are with this, and we're still dealing with it. But I'm gonna have a special message about that. I'm gonna have a special message about that. But anyway, bottom line is, the new case rate is not dropping fast enough. The counties that are hot are really hot. That's just it. For people that are traveling along the border, I see Dave Moon's on here. I don't know if he crosses the border. There is right now a patchwork quilt of road closures due to mudslides, flooding, washouts, road damage from the historic flooding that tore through British Columbia. And for British Columbia, it was tearing through as of yesterday, and in Washington State earlier this week. The Canadian government and the U.S. government, British Columbia, Washington State, have reached agreements. For people that are just going from border point to border point, if they have to transit because of these road closures into Canada or into the United States so they can move east to west, you do not have to have a PCR test. Now, well, if I'm just like, well, screw it, I'm just going to stay for a few days and tell them I'm transiting. Like what? They know when you cross the border. They know when you're going to come back. So why are you going to make problems for yourself for being stupid? Don't make problems for yourself being stupid. They're doing this specifically so that people can continue to move around and continue to have transit. You still need a passport. It's not like it's open border. You still need a passport. But really happy to announce that is, there is no, and this will end on this date at this time. I think they're still evaluating it. Governor Inslee had a presser today. I'm going to be honest here. The messaging around booster shots by the federal officials, and this isn't just directed at Washington State. It's across the country. The messaging around booster shots has been so borked, has been so, we effed it up. We screwed it up. It's just, I really, really wish that Dr. Shaw and Governor Inslee didn't, I'm looking for the right word. I'm struggling for the word. Been so hesitant with what they were going to recommend. I just wish they had just come out and looked in the cameras and said, there is a ton of data that shows that vaccine immunity and disease-acquired immunity starts to fade after 5 to 7 months. And you need to go get booster shots when you get to your 6 months. And if you got the Johnson & Johnson and it was more than 60 days ago, you really need to go get a booster shot. I just wish they would have come out and said it, but it was kind of, I've already beaten that one to death. But there was another thing that was talked about, and I want to talk about this Biden administration attempt to pass this OSHA rule for companies with 100 or more employees to require COVID vaccination or weekly tests. Now, Governor Inslee had announced earlier that the state of Washington was going to apply an even higher standard What the state was going to do was match the same requirement that state employees had. There was no test option. It was get vaxxed or get bent. You're going to have to go work for a small business or do a side hustle. And if you're doing a side hustle, then it can't be in a whole bunch of these different industries because they require vaccination. They're now going to do, yeah, you can get tested. It's all cool. Doesn't apply to state employees, but applies to private employers. But that's if this OSHA rule ever even passes. And I don't know if anybody's noticed. I haven't talked about this, the OSHA. We haven't included it in any of the updates. And there's a reason for that. If you're a reader of the updates, if you're a daily reader of those, then you know there'll be things that the MSM is talking about, and we don't necessarily cover it yet because it's like, I don't know. And then there are other times where we may position some things where it's like, we need some more information, but we're going to report what we know, what we've got now, but we're waiting to find out. Really good example of that was Jessica Berg Wilson. When the death of Jessica Berg Wilson came out, there were a number of, publication, just rushed out, basically like, oh, this just isn't true. We did the right things, right? We looked into, hey, wow, there actually is something in VAERS. And we get it. Anybody can enter anything into VAERS. But, the VAERS lined up to what the family story was saying. We did a little, and so how did we position it? There's a lot of controversy around this. The family has made a pretty politically charged statement around this. However, there are these other aspects of things. We are not saying this isn't true, but we got questions and we want to see more info. And of course, it worked out, right? Because Dr. Shaw came out the next day and said, no, this is totally true. Here is the confirmation from the federal government. Here's what we have. It happened on September 5, blah, 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 blah. And boom. It's a really good example where we pause. So how come I haven't talked about the OSHA thing until tonight? Because I think it's unconstitutional. Surprise. I don't think it's going to survive. I had questions the way that it went when it was applied in the first place. And I think it's too broad in the way that it has been set up. And I agree with the reasonable, not the, my rights and freedoms, I'm going to give me a good American flag and my Trump hat, and let's go Brandon and Kyle Rittenhouse, communist, Marxist, liberals. No, I'm not talking about that. I agree with the rational arguments that this is too broad, that in the way that it's written, the way it is defined, it does not rise up to the level of crisis. Could it have been written better? Could there have been, these vocations versus these vocations, or people that work in these kind of environments versus people that work at these kind? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let me give you an example. Let's say you are at a company. Let's say you work at a power utility. Let me use this as an example. And you are a wind generator technician. And most of your work is outside. If you're inside, inside in you're by yourself generally. If you're inside in that crawl space, almost everything else you do is outside, or you're sitting in an office. I think you should just be able to it's like, do I want them vaccinated? Yes. Do I think, does it feed into my government overlords? I need to get me a gun and a Trump hat and let's go Brandon, communist, Marxist, liberal, leftist. Yeah, I do think it feeds into that. And I think it creates resistance. And so there you go. I'm that's my view. I don't think it's going to survive. And I'll be like, good. And unfortunately, it's going to be a black mark on the Biden administration. I don't know how they're going to save face or walk it back. I will really be surprised if this survives the courts. Now, I also think that this may cut both ways. I think for states that are going, no mandate, for states that are going, no employer can require anybody to get a vaccine, the end. I can see people taking that to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court going, yeah, no, that doesn't work that way. You're overstepping your bounds as a state. Now, the state doesn't have to pass a mandate, but I think it's going to cut both ways. That's my opinion. For states that are like, we're passing this stuff, no, I don't think it's going to flow constitutionally either. Not a lawyer, just my views. So there you go. Beat that one to death. 9 Washington counties are going to be offered free at-home COVID-19 tests. The 9 counties are Adams, Benton, Cowlitz, Ferry, Franklin, Okanagan, Penderell, Spokane, and Stevens. Hope you enjoy our tax dollars from King County for those free at-home tests. You know, I just had to get that little dig in there, just a little bit in there. It is interesting to me that these free tests are being offered in counties that have typically had much higher rates of infections than other counties. But it's good. I'm glad they're doing it because the home tests are too expensive in the United States. They are too hard to find. It's a big problem because in other countries, home tests are like free or like, you know, in equivalent US dollars, $1, $2, $3. I mean, here they're like, you know, they're $30, but you get a coupon for $10 off. So, because of course, United States. I already beat up the whole thing about boosters. Hospital situation is generally looking a little better. The Southwest Hospital region, Clark, Cowlitz, Klickitat, and Skamina, they're almost to normal, like across the board. It's the only region that's there. ICU is only at 70% occupied. Acute care is at 85.7. You want it under 80%, but only 9% of patients are COVID. Good numbers. They've got really, really good numbers. The East Hospital District is getting a lot better. They're getting better as Idaho is also getting better at the same time. The only district right now that is really struggling is the Northwest, which is the Olympic Peninsula. And so we have that. School readiness, real quick. Bellevue School District, this is real local news. Bellevue School District, 5 COVID cases across all the schools right now. That's it. They're in really good shape heading into Friday. Lake Washington only updates once a week, so we don't know. We have not had any parent reports for the week, so it's good. North Shore, Maywood Hills Elementary added 8 COVID positive students this week. They now have 11. The 8 in one dump is about the biggest we have seen in a single school in Lake Washington, Bellevue, and North Shore school districts. So Maywood Hills Elementary dealing with a pretty significant outbreak. There are only 5 students that are quarantined, which at least points to this may not have been an in-school community spread, that this may have been something that happened outside of school. No information from the district and nothing to the point for me to like go, hey, we're going to go reach out to a public information officer and start asking questions. Yes, some home tests are FAFSA, FCA, HSA eligible. And if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'll wait to the finish line, those tests are hard to find. I would either just get them online or get them now. Unless you're like, I might need that FSA, HSA numbers, dollars for something else. COVID cases nationally are up 14% from last week. Everything is just starting to go in the wrong direction in the United States. Even like states like Texas are starting to see cases go up. And it's only going to be a matter of time before, Ron, we got mission accomplished DeSantis. I'm telling you, he's going to eat those words in another 60, 90 days. He'll be waffling, make some other. It's those liberal, Marxist, communist, undocumented workers. I'm not calling them politically correct, illegal, alien, deaf, brown people. It's all their fault. Biden, Harris. Vaccination deadline. U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. You got 10 days left if you are active duty to at least get the first, or they're going to send your ass packing. A memo went out on 2 days ago in the evening, so close to a day ago at this point, explaining that, oh, no. If you think like, you're not going to kick me out, wrong. We're going to kick you out. And it's interesting. Air Force was leaving it up to base commanders. Now, Air Force was, you're out. But we're going to leave it up to the base commander on whether you get honorable discharge, general discharge, a less than honorable discharge, or you're going to fade a court martial. It's just up to the base commander. The Navy's like, yeah, we're not doing that. Your ass is going to be out. You're going to get a general discharge, honorable, but then that means you're not getting certain GI Bill and some other VA benefits, and it's a non-negotiable. Navy is actually the most vaccinated branch, 99%. And that makes sense because ships is just a terrible place for infection. Anybody who's been on a cruise ship knows cruise ships are hyperphobic, even before COVID, right? They were all worried about norovirus and colds, and there was something, hey, here, get your hand sanitizer everywhere, and advice on the crew. Yeah, don't hold the rails unless the ship's moving around or stuff. And if you do touch the rails, make sure you don't touch wash your hands all the time. That was even before COVID. Ships are incubators. And let's not forget, we had an entire carrier group taken out of action as COVID tore through an aircraft carrier. So in contrast, the Marines are the least vaccinated of the branches, but they are at 93% vaccinated. Another thing that's important, special forces across all branches, 70,000 service members, active duty, over 98% vaccinated. So, I know there's been some headlines, a couple of dozen Navy SEAL. It is a really, really small minority of people. What's interesting is somebody told me something, and boy, did this slap. This really resonated with me. And they brought up on why cops, firefighters, other jobs I'm not getting vaccinated. That's for wimps. It's because their brains are already wired to get into trouble, right? They run to problems. For some, particularly for a firefighter, that's a good quality to have. If you're a soldier in combat, right, active duty, that's definitely a good quality to have. And so by the nature of people that gravitate to these vocations, they don't like to be told what to do. And they don't like to be told, hey, you need to be safe. So you don't. It slapped. It made sense with me. The Army also sent out a memo. And what the Army is telling their service members how this is going to go down is they're going to go, okay, you got to the deadline. And Army has the last deadline of the, I don't know if they're last, actually. I don't know what Coast Guard. I don't know if Coast Guard's, I think Army is last. I think Coast Guard's before Army. Space Force was technically on the same deadline as Air Force. So I think Army is the furthest one out. But this is what they've told them. If you're not going to get vaccinated, you're going to sit down, with a medical officer and a superior, and you're going to be ordered. You need to get a vaccine. The medical officer is going to be there to answer any of the questions you have, try to spell any of the disinformation rat hole that you're gone down. And if you still say no, then this is what's going to happen. You're not going to be allowed to reenlist. You will never get promoted. You are not going to go to any specialist training, any A school. Basically, your military career is over. And you can run the clock out. That seems to be what the implication is in the memo. I believe the Army's around 90, active duty numbers again is around 96% vaccinated. So I don't know what to think about this Antonio Brown story out of Tampa Bay Buccaneers. NFL's got another, of course. So Antonio Brown, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You should automatically hate him because Tom Brady is the quarterback. And Antonio Brown's an important weapon for Tom Brady and how Tom Brady operates as a quarterback. His former live-in chef. What? Whatever. His former live-in chef is claiming that Antonio Brown bought a fake vaccine card so he could bypass the NFL COVID protocols. So I'm not in the defending Tom Brady camp here, right? You got to admit out of the gate, former live-in cook, not there anymore. It's an interesting specific accusation. Definitely could have overheard something. Definitely could have talked to him about it. So there's some question. It's one of these things like, I'm not saying it's not true, but I am saying I think there's some questions here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have already issued a statement, because of course they have. Going in the preseason, everybody submitted all of their required documentation. We looked it all over. Nothing appeared to be out of the ordinary. Irregularities, quote unquote, irregularities is the word that they used. And we handed all that over to the NFL. So basically what the Tampa Bay Bucs did here is that, not it. Of course, if he does have a fake vax card, like, what do you do? What do you do? Do you nail his ass to the wall when you let Aaron Rodgers walk with a $14,000, $650 fine, not for breaking up to 16 COVID protocols? No. Aaron Rodgers was fined $14,650 for going to a Halloween party. Stone cold facts. That's what he got fined for. So what are you going to do with Antonio Brown, who is black, by the way? And there was a lot of cries when Aaron Rodgers didn't even get a slap on the wrist. And there's a lot of cries that there were a whole lot of white privilege, that Roger Goodell just went, yeah, whatevers. So what's the NFL going to do? They're going to nail Antonio Brown to the wall? Now, admittedly, if Antonio Brown does have a fake vaccination card, he could be in bigger trouble than with the NFL, right? He's broken federal law. And that has been enforced, not to the point of convictions, but certainly into the point of charges, because we know that there are several, we've heard stories particularly of police officers who bought fake vaccination cards, who are now facing criminal charges for doing that. So there is there's a precedent here from the federal law side of things. If Antonio Brown did have a fake vaccination card, he better lawyer up, because I don't see the feds going, because if they go, then what's the point of all of this? What's the point? It's a friggin' mess. I hope he didn't do it. I really do. It's just such a freaking stupid thing. Let's do the state roundup. Arizona, city of Phoenix, going to require all city employees to be vaccinated by January 22, 2022. Interesting date. Or they're going to have to go find a new job somewhere else. Colorado, Department of Defense strike teams are heading to Colorado, just like they went to Idaho, because Colorado's hospitals are a dumpster fire, and they are full of unvaccinated patients, for particularly ICU patients is big. District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. is easing the mask mandate. It's interesting because Washington, D.C., because that's the nation's capital, operates under a little bit of, it's different rules. How Washington, the city, is run is different than states. And so they had to word things very differently, because the way they're wording it there is, well, we're easing it. You'll still have to wear masks in public transit. But those are all the federal rules. But because it's Washington, D.C., those rules are like Washington, D.C.'s rules, if that makes sense. So it would be very different than, say, if Washington were to say, we're ending the mask mandate. For all intent and purposes, Washington, D.C. is ending their mask mandate on November 22nd. All of the federal rules, hospitals, prisons, public transit, some areas, large indoor, will still apply. It basically mirrors the existing federal rules for masks, what they're leaving in place there. My spin on it, yeah, right before Thanksgiving and all the travel and that's just great, perfect friggin' timing to do that. You couldn't say we're going to do it January 4. Well, we have such a high vaccination rate. What about all the, Large Marge isn't vaccinated. You can't tell me Bobo is vaccinated. You can't tell me that Gozar the Gozerian is vaccinated. But it's okay, no masks. It's whatever. There's some good news out of Idaho. It's a pug. Where's the pug? There's a pug? Or are people trying to figure out like pictures and stuff behind me? Are you all like analyzing the shells behind me? Yeah, I love my pugs. Interesting news out of Idaho. Idaho called a special session. We alluded to this on a TikTok, and we also alluded to it in the teaser that we do when we do the COVID updates, where moderate Idaho Republicans accused far-right Idaho Republicans of being socialists. I kid you not. You keep using that word. I do not think that word means what you think it means. The moderate Republicans were upset because the extreme Republicans wanted to pass legislation that would ban any vaccine mandate in the state for any employer or any school or anything. And the moderate Republicans and the business community in Idaho is like, that's communist socialism because you're telling business what to do. And I'm like, I'm so confused right now. I'm so confused. So I'm like, this is like the battle between the authoritarians and the libertarians, right? It's like there's no such thing as a moderate Republican in Idaho. That's why I was using the air quotes. The libertarians against the authoritarians. The libertarians don't want any rules, and the authoritarians think that 1938 Germany was a good thing. So what's the good news? They had a 3-day special session. Nothing happened. Nothing. They had 30 bills come across the table. 5 advanced. They went to the Senate, and the Senate in Idaho went, meh, we'll see you when we do the real thing. I think this is a repudiation of Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeachin, which I think is really important because, oh my God, if she becomes governor of Idaho, I'm going to go like every day, like, by the way, dig a trench, fill it with gasoline between Idaho and Washington. And, maybe we need to deploy the National Guard because Janice McGeachin just may get a wild hair one day. You know what? I'm going to invade Washington with our National Guard and just liberate the state. Hey, by the way, Janice, if Washington State was its own nuclear power, we would be the 3rd largest nuclear power in the Western Hemisphere. We got the bombs. I'm so exhausted, if you can't tell, like the brains. A woman in Olaf, Kansas, is suing Walmart, alleging that the Walmart vaccinated her 15-year-old daughter without her approval. The 15-year-old daughter went into Walmart wanting to get vaccinated because she wanted to live the vaccinated lifestyle. And wanted to go and see her friends. Walmart basic position is like, it sounds to me like mom's looking for a paycheck because, mom lawyered up, and they negotiating with Walmart. And then Walmart basically said, get bent. We would do it again tomorrow if she walked in and asked for it. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And the girl's mom, Michelle Tonkinson, now has got the lawyer and they're going to sue. Walmart's position is we are committed to offering quality and compliant health care. We take allegations like this seriously. We will review the claim and respond with the court as appropriate once we are served. Yeah. She going after Walmart. Good luck going after Walmart lawyers. Ask, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Tracy, he was hit by the Walmart, he was hit by the Walmart truck. Oh my God, this is terrible, and I'm forgetting his name. Tracy Morgan, right? Ask Tracy Morgan about his experience going after Walmart. Good luck to you, Michelle. We're rooting for you. Massachusetts is seeing the same thing that a lot of the other northern tier states are seeing. Maine, Vermont, it's starting in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, starting again in Michigan. Minnesota's terrible. It's starting in Wisconsin, Colorado, Iowa, these states where it's getting cold and everybody's moving inside. Who could have seen this coming? Yeah, the COVID cases are skyrocketing. What a shock. Like who? I ask, who could see this coming? Massachusetts, their rate of COVID cases are now as high as they were in February of 2021. And Governor Charlie Baker there said, hey, everybody go get a booster shot now. Like doesn't matter. Minnesota, prediction. This is strictly my opinion, my prediction. Minnesota is going to go to crisis standards of care. Minnesota is at 99% ICU capacity statewide. Minnesota, like you think of, Mayo Clinic, Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is not, we're not talking North Dakota or Idaho or Alaska or Wyoming that doesn't have, a big hospital network. This is Minnesota. 1% ICU capacity left in the entire state. And it's only getting started there. It's only getting started. And there's some counties in Wisconsin that are just dumpster fires. Absolute dumpster fires. And I think Minnesota's going to roll to crisis standards of care. Get friggin' vaccinated, people. I do have a special message on this. Missouri, interesting news out of Missouri. Missouri found 2,792 more COVID deaths because they're going through and cleaning up their data. And, remember all the accusations of they're just slapping COVID on any death certificate. Apparently in Missouri, they're like, just we'll pretend that didn't happen. So Missouri found 2,792 more probable COVID deaths. 2,000, that's 22% increase to the total state number. And also remember, Missouri was like on the charge of, you can't tell us what to do, communist, Marxist, Leninist, leftist, Biden, Harris, let's go, Brandon. Where's my hat? New Mexico's a dumpster fire. 25% of their cases are children in New Mexico. They're having a huge surge there. New Mexico, I don't know if they'll go to crisis standards of care because they got Texas, and Texas right now is stable, although cases are going up. And then they've got Arizona on the other side. They've got places they can move patients where Minnesota, it's interesting, right? Because we're like, what, Minnesota's going to send them to South Dakota, North Dakota? There's nowhere to send them there. Iowa's dealing with their own surge right now, right? So Minnesota has this problem where New Mexico's got places they could send people. Obviously, they can't send them north up to Colorado, but they got places to go. Utah's turning into a dumpster fire also. They're at 97% ICU occupied across the entire state of Utah. 44% of those people in ICUs have COVID. This is all so friggin' preventable. Where's my ivermectin? I want the horse paste. Apple flavored. You got that in Mountain Dew? Could they do that with the vaccine? Could they make like Mountain Dew flavored vaccine? We got Mountain Dew flavored COVID vaccine. Hey, by the way, Mountain Dew now comes with COVID vaccine flavor. And then finally, in Virginia, Dr. Paul Marik. That might be a name that kind of rings a bell every now and then, especially if you've been down the disinformation rat holes. Yeah, Paul Marik's a big fan of the paste. He's a big, I call it the paste because I don't want to bring the Orwellian social media gods down upon my head. And I have to speak in news speak. I would much rather refer to it, or the other one I like to say, the anti-parasitic. He's a big fan of the anti-parasitic. He is in a big lawsuit right now with Central Norfolk General Hospital, where he works. He's basically accused the hospital of murdering people because they won't follow his treatment plan. He made this claim that says, quote, almost all of the treatment we use have been demonstrated to be safe and effective in randomized control trials, which is a flat out lie. When it comes to the anti-parasitic, the paste, that apple flavored paste now in Mountain Dew, there is not a single study that did not use biased data, duplicate data, or fake data that supports that position. None. There are only 4 studies that when you chafe out those categories that are like legit, double-blind, placebo-based, peer-reviewed studies, none of the studies showed that the antiparasitic did anything beyond help people get rid of worms. There's actually a study out in the Lancet that came out today. I only saw the headline and read one paragraph, so that's why I didn't write about it. I don't want to talk about it too much because a lot of times the media, right, they don't read all the fine print. I tell you, there have been a number of reports where I see stuff in the mainstream media and they're reporting, I'm like, oh, let me grab that thing, and I read it, and I'm like, boy, their translation's so wrong, and like, this doesn't support anything, and that's why you never see us talk about it. And that could be real frustrating to read a 14-page, 16-page, 8-page, very dry scientific paper to go, well, the mainstream media's got this one totally wrong, and not only that, it doesn't support the position they're saying, and not only that, this isn't really a good study, so we're not going to talk about it. Anyway, there's only 4 studies. We've beaten this to death on the pages of malcontentnews.com. None of those studies support that the antiparasitic works. One study in particular, the one out of Argentina, indicated that for the sickest patients that were moving to ventilators, it was worse. It made it worse. So it's a flat-out lie. It works. The only thing it helps empty is the wallets of the gullible that are buying this stuff online. Highly, highly effective on that. All right, that's enough of that. If you've been under a rock, or if you haven't been on the Twitters or the TikToks, and you haven't been, if you've been skipping the videos of the Facebook page, Chad Loader released, I shouldn't say, well, let's see. Well, yeah, I guess released. Chad Loader released a bunch of tweets that Katie Davis Court, Turning Point USA, and writes for the Post-Millennial. She started writing for the Post-Millennial after the insurrection in February. She labels herself as a videographer, journalist. He released a bunch of tweets and raised some questions about Katie and where she was and what she might have been doing on January 6th. And if you have followed our streams, you know that Katie was in Washington, D.C. I'm going to play the videos. We're up to 3 videos. I'm going to play all 3 videos. Katie was in Washington, D.C. No big secret there. Katie claimed that she had no cell coverage for the day, and that's why you didn't see any tweets or any communication from her. Then on the 8th, she doubled down on that. She was like, I've been in Washington, D.C. I'm still here on the 8th, and I haven't had any cell or Wi-Fi the whole time I've been here. Nowhere, not even in my hotel. And then when she came back, there was another tweet that was like, yeah, you haven't been seeing me out that much, and people are asking it's because I'm recovering from a concussion. And Katie, when she's seen me in the past, right, she's been kind of fond of doing the Katie thing. I'm doing the Katie thing. I'm holding the phone this way up. I'm holding the phone this way. So my face is blocked, but I'm filming you so you don't see me. Whatever, Katie. Right? And she does that to everybody. I'm not getting any special treatment or anything, but I started going, Katie, I started doing the reporter thing. You tweeted you got a concussion. Can you answer question? Why did you get the concussion? Oh my goodness. And we could show in the video. Katie does not like that line of questioning, and was questioned a few times between, say, February-ish. Last time was May 29. So I took the Chad Loader stuff because the Chad Loader stuff started creating a lot more questions. And I think I'm just going to let the video speak for itself. So hopefully this is going to work. Long video warning. We're going down another deep rabbit hole. This is Katie Daviscourt. Katie is a writer for Andy No's publication, The Post-Millennial, and she is one of the key leaders of Turning Point USA in Washington State. And Katie was also at the insurrection on January 6th. And Katie claimed on January 6th that the reason there was no communication from her is that she did not have any cell service for the entire day. But wait, there's more. After Katie returned from Washington, D.C., she was awful quiet on the streets of Seattle, and people started noticing that. On January 20th, she tweeted out she was still recovering from a concussion. Absolutely everything is circumstantial up to this point. But something interesting happens when you question Katie about how she got that concussion.
Katie, you want to talk about your concussion in Washington, D.C.? You were laid up for 2 weeks after you came back from Washington, D.C. with a concussion. By your own admission page. So, Katie, what's up with that?
Katie wasn't very interested in talking about her situation. Well, now we know why. And it turns out that Katie has deleted hundreds of tweets, including tweets from the January 6th insurrection. Before we get to that, here's Katie Daviscourt on January 8th, doubling down. She had no cell reception. Here she is on January 6th, denying she is outside of the Capitol. Now, Katie says she is a journalist with the Post-Millennial, and I know we can get into intent. So let's look at intent. This is one of Katie's deleted tweets. Notice the last part on January 4. He fought for us. Now we fight for him. Here is a retweet that Katie did on January 5th from American Miracle, reminding everybody that U.S. lawmakers will be traveling underground on the 6th. Here's Katie among the protesters. Here's Katie walking to the Capitol. And here's this tweet from 2:19 p.m. on January 6th that Katie deleted. DC Patriots climbing scaffolding outside of the Capitol. Sure looks like Katie was on the Capitol grounds and in the thick of things on January 6th. Which goes back to the question, how did Katie Daviscourt get that concussion, and why does she not want to talk about it months later? And here's Katie with tough lad Alan Swinney, who is now facing multiple years in jail for being found guilty on 12 crimes in the city of Portland. Katie claims she had no cell reception, she was never on the ground, yet she deleted the tweets that showed that she was. It sure would be interesting, now that we've provided all this information, if someone could figure out Katie's movements from this point on at 2:19 on January 6th. As it is, Katie has already committed a federal crime, and Chad Loader has the receipts. And the FBI, I think, would be interested in learning more. And if somebody did some additional research and found out more, then maybe Turning Point USA should be exposed for the organization that they are. So, a reminder here, too, one of the leaders of Turning Point USA out of Oregon was arrested on January 6th. And her mother was arrested also. And let's remember, to get arrested on January 6th at the insurrection, that's impressive, right? So anyway, that's part one. And the next day after that came out, at what? Everyone's saying I'm muted. Really? I don't. Really? Because it doesn't say I'm muted, and I'm not. Yes or no? Yes or no? Hello? See? Now you got me. There's just like a couple of seconds. I know. Anyway, Katie responded. So we're just gonna roll these. Katie responded via Twitter. And I'm here. I'm just looking for that clip. Here we go. And with that, we're going to roll that clip.
Long video warning. Katie has responded. For a quick refresher, this is Katie Daviscourt. Katie is a writer for the Post Millennial, and she also is one of the leads for Turning Point USA in the state of Washington. She was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Yesterday, journalist Chad Loder reported that Katie Daviscourt has deleted dozens of tweets, including tweets on January 6th. Yesterday, we released a video showing serious inconsistency with Katie's stories and raising some legitimate questions. Katie's responded. We're going to go ahead and respond to her 4 points, one at a time. The first point is easy. If you call yourself a journalist and your first response to being questioned is an ad hominem attack, you've already lost the battle. The second one is easy too. No one's questioning Katie Daviscourt was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, and no one is questioning that she planned to go there. Now, Katie claims on point 3 that the scaffolding video was sent to her and that she did not personally take it. Now, at face value, that makes sense. But there's some problems with her story. Katie, here's the tweet that you sent out saying that you have had no cell service all day. And here's one you sent on January 8th where you say you're still in Washington, D.C. and that you had had no cell or Wi-Fi the whole time you were there. But now you're claiming somebody sent you an over 9-second video that you were able to get a connection to get to your phone, and then you had a connection to send out the 9-second video even though you didn't have any cell or Wi-Fi the whole time you were there. Now here is that deleted tweet that you sent out at 2:10 p.m. on January 6th, which by all of the published timelines is almost to the exact second when people were climbing the scaffolding. And here is another tweet that you shared. And notice you gave credit on this one on who sent it to you, but you had no cell connection and you weren't there. This leads us to the fourth point. I was never at the Capitol, and during the time of the attack, I was going on a radio show. Interesting you used the word attack. You were scheduled to be on the Dory Monson show on January 6th, but your interview was canceled because of the insurrection. We know because we were monitoring the Dory Monson show on January 6th, actually hoping to hear your firsthand account. You could have made this all go away simply by saying, I hit my head on January 13th. Now you prove it. I'm taking that card away from you now. Katie, you're hiding something, and I think we all know it.
All right, so that's part 2. So Katie's response to part 2 was swifter and stronger. And basically, Katie was like, defamation. I absolutely was on Dory Monson on the 6th. And I was like, wow. Because we were monitoring it. And we wanted to hear her account. It was already announced. Dory Monson was already saying, oh, we're going to have the thing from Katie, her on the ground and all. And I think at the end of it, we'll play the third clip, and then I'll talk about that later. Anyway, Katie responded very quickly, and I'm like, all right, let's start looking into this. And some weird stuff happened after she did it, and we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into it.
Long video warning. Katie responded again. Really quick recap. This is Katie Daviscourt. Katie is one of the leads for Turning Point USA in Washington State and a writer for the Post Millennial. And Katie was at the insurrection on January 6th, which is no big secret. Earlier this week, journalist Chad Loader posted that Katie has deleted a bunch of tweets, including tweets during the insurrection, even though Katie denies she was ever on the Capitol grounds. But those deleted tweets raise some serious questions, and somehow Katie got a concussion and she doesn't like talking about it. All caught up now? Good. We made an original video that goes into this in a lot more detail. Katie responded to that via Twitter, and then we did another response video, and Katie responded to that. Here's where it gets a little weird. Katie's response was on Twitter for maybe a minute, and Twitter automatically deleted it for content violations. Now, I did get a chance to see it, and honestly, I didn't see anything wrong with her reply. Katie's main point was that I had defamed her because she was on the Dory Monson show. That's what she claims on January 6th, and she linked to an app called TuneIn. And I was ready to put my apology hat on. But then something else happened. We tried this, and this was the link that Katie sent to us, which went to Dory's most current list of shows. We searched mynorthwest.com, we searched YouTube, we searched Audible. We could find nothing for any of Dory Monson's archives from January 6th. But in the end, it still doesn't help Katie's case, and this is why. This is the key tweet that Katie deleted. 2:10 p.m., January 6th, Washington, D.C. time, which is almost to the minute when this was going on. 2:10 p.m. in Washington, D.C. is 11:10 a.m. in Seattle. That's where the Dory Monson show is. Dory Monson's on the air from noon to 3, which is 3 to 6 in Washington, D.C. Katie claims she was on during the third hour, 5 to 6. Capitol regained control, 5:45 p.m. It's all moot now because I'm blocked. As for the claim of defamation, Katie has literally called me I can't finish that word. This will get blocked by TikTok. In contrast, on October 12th, 2020, I condemned Katie being pepper sprayed on the air and defended her First Amendment rights. But Katie's never really answered any questions. She's just deflected. I do know an organization that can prove her innocence when they look at her cell phone records.
That's probably where this saga ends because, blocked. Been blocked. The horrors of it all. So a couple of things. Twitter took it down because what happened was I was writing a reply, and basically what the reply was going to be, you provide receipts, and, I'll apologize. I'll take it all down, and I'll apologize. Mods and admins, because here was the other thing. Mods and admins could back this up. We got receipts. If she had come out and roasted me with receipts, I was going to donate $250 to Turning Point USA in the name of Malcontent News. Mods and admins could back that up. That was the discussion. So, anyway, when I went to go, I got this message. Hey, the tweet you're replying to is gone because of content violations. Now, what I thought was my tweet was gone. That's what I thought. I'm like, gotta be kidding. Whatever. So I go and look at them. Oh, no, my tweet's still there. And then you get the message, click here and it's, oh no, this tweet's gone. And then, click Y, and I clicked Y, and it was like, we automatically decide to remove this tweet. It violates the content. The person that posted this is not going to be allowed to post until they go through and delete this tweet. And honestly, I'm like, what? Because there was nothing. She's like, you defamation. But what, you can't tweet defamation? So let this be a lesson to everybody. Do not reply to a tweet on Twitter using the word defamation, because apparently this is an instant content violation. Unless she's already under a magnifying glass, which I have no idea, which she could be. So I don't know. This is really weird to me. And the capricious nature of moderation by social media platforms, particularly when AI is applied, people know this is a sore topic for me. So once again, I'm up here defending Katie again because I didn't see anything wrong in her tweet and it shouldn't have been pulled down. But anyway, she did link to this app, went through. There's nothing there. And looked like everywhere. And there's nothing for Dory's archive. Now, in that, Katie claims she was in the third hour of his show, which would have been from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. I would have to go through, because we were on the air 15 and a half hours straight. I think we went off the air for like 10 minutes because feeds are only allowed for 8 hours on most of the social media channels. So I think we dropped off the air for like 10 minutes. So I could just walk away from the microphone for a few minutes and come back. And it is possible if she was on that third hour that we weren't monitoring it anymore because things were winding down and there were much bigger things at this point. And Katie's firsthand account would have been pointless at this. We've already got plenty of other accounts, and listening to a radio show at this point isn't going to tell us anything. But we were monitoring Dory Monson because if Katie had gone on, because if you'd watched her January 6th, we were pulling from just, everything and doing it in a way that respected copyright holders and all. And I know there were people, she's not on yet. She's not on yet. She's not on yet. So if she was on at 5 to 6, we may not have been monitoring it. But as we pointed out, if she was on 5 to 6 Washington, D.C. time, that doesn't account for where she was at 2 in the afternoon. So, and here's the bottom line. Why did she delete that tweet? That one in particular. Why did she claim, I have no cell coverage, I have no cell reception? The other thing is she did tweet out, maybe on like the 10th or the 12th, like a picture of Jake Angeli, the Q shaman. And you can see the Washington monuments in the background. So, she's not down by the Capitol, but he is starting his march, and she's nowhere near the monument. The monument's far away in the background. So she's at least partially marching down. And we know that Jake Angeli didn't start that march until Donald Trump stopped talking, which was almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the other thing is, she's never once addressed how she got the concussion. And I meant what I said in that second video. If Katie had responded after the first video, I got a concussion on January 13th at home. Now you prove it. How can I prove it? How can anyone prove it? I mean, I get the feds could go look at medical records and stuff, but none of us, no report. It would be HIPAA violations. There'd be all sorts of things to dive into that. There's no diving into it. She could have ended it right there. And I don't like dogging people out. I don't. But I think these 3 videos have shown that she has no issues with playing fast and loose with facts when presented with them. Especially see that in her second reply, right? Or I should say her first reply, which was, it was like, well, everybody knew it was there. It's no big secret. It's like, Katie, nobody was saying it was a secret that you were there. You were there for work. Your job that day was overthrowing the U.S. government. That was your job for the day. So you're saying there were paid protesters there in Washington, D.C. The other one is like when she did that reply and she used the word attack. She literally used the word the attack on the Capitol. Like, because part of what got eaten in the reply that I was sending was, you used the word attack. Are you speaking for the Post-Millennial and Turning Point USA? For this, are you labeling January 6th as an attack as a representative of Turning Point USA? I don't have the feeling that Andy and Charlie were very happy about the use of the word attack. But she literally could have lied her way out of this like that, and it just would have been dead in the water. But she didn't. So, anyway, Chad Loader, the credit goes to Chad Loader because Chad Loader provided the puzzle pieces. I'm just the one who put on my Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and go, and I got the paper trail to prove it. He has the whole thing there. But I don't think that this is, the crazy with the pieces of yarn and 34 pictures on the wall and everything that's connected there. So, I did not hear about this, Dora. This is terrible. I don't know anything about it. I will check in with Omari about that. And this is really terrible news. You say she's okay. And it sounds like it was a racist attack. Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if she was targeted. If I'm muted, it's got nothing. I haven't touched anything I did. I haven't touched anything. I got full bars, and it might be Ursine. It might be on your side because I haven't touched anything. I ain't do nothing. I ain't do nothing. Nothing. All right, let's talk about a few stories here, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Jury in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial is going to day 4 of deliberations. Yeah, Ursine, I think it's your connection because everyone else is saying they hear me fine. It's on your end, or it might be Twitch. I'm not muted. Everybody's saying they can hear me. You give them the bad intel. Rittenhouse trial in its 4th day of deliberations. Clearly, we actually did a TikTok on this one. Clearly, the prosecution is nervous. We did very, very short 60-second on this one. The prosecution has raised a stink over the video quality, HD versus SD video, that they got versus what the defense had. They didn't object at the time of trial when it came up. They didn't object then. So I want to connect some dots here. The judge instructed the jury. When you go into the jury room and you go do your jury thing, after Kyle pulls your name out here while I sit next to him for this photo op, because I got you, Kyle. I got your back. It's all good. Justice is blind justice. There's so much and it's not just the judge. We're going to talk about a little other, which was just, it's bad. There's another that looks bad. You're going to consider on all those 5 charges, was it in self-defense? When you go down those 5 charges, if you think there was self-defense, then that charge is dead. The end. And the first charge they were looking at is the individual, the name's escaping me because I'm just so friggin' tired. The first person that shot and killed. That was the first one. On day 2, the jury came out and said, we'd like to see the video again, the aerial video of that. And of course, what does that mean? If they're to that level, they're not questioning self-defense. And the defense attorneys knew that. So the defense attorneys are just now at this point are like, oh, shit. Because if they're going that one, if they're like, that one's not self-defense, because that's the key. Because if that one becomes self-defense, basically the whole thing falls apart. So then the defense goes, hey, wait a minute. The video we got, that was in low fidelity, and they got high fidelity, and they held the high fidelity one from us. And if we had the high fidelity video instead of low fidelity video, we would have maybe changed how we presented the case, and we want a mistrial. They don't want a mistrial with prejudice. They just want a mistrial. They want a do-over. So if they get the do-over, it probably won't be with that judge. The prosecution gets to go, thank God, because boy, did we screw this up, and we get to do this over again, right? So clearly, the defense is like, oh man, this is not the slam dunk that we thought it was. And the defense clearly is trying to play on the technological ignorance of the judge. And the judge has shown that he has a very high degree of technological ignorance, which is a problem in American courts. This isn't just this judge. But he's 75 years. Okay, boomer. 75-year-old who clearly doesn't understand some real simple concepts and technology. And the prosecution has come out and says, yeah, you know what? When the police emailed the video, they might have compressed it down so they could isn't that convenient that the police changed a key piece of evidence? All in good nature, of course. And now all of a sudden, this is the thing on, well, we want to see what happens here. And that gets into the next part of this, which is the next piece of this puzzle. Because then the next thing was this whole, well, now what about the Dropbox? There's stuff in Dropbox. That's what we did the video on. It's like, if you have a video file in Dropbox and you watch that, stream it out of Dropbox, it is compressed so it will stream. However, if you download it, you have the original file. It is whatever the codec it was up. If you download it, that's the codec that comes back down. So if the defense didn't download those videos, they just watched them, that's on the defense. The end. Right? There's nothing there. So now what did the judge say? Well, the judge said, I'm going to think about this, but if you find him guilty, we're going to talk about mistrial. This is just such a high level of BS that's going on there. Now, I said there's other things that have screwed up. There's this incident today where MSNBC has been thrown out of the court by the judge. And this story's been evolving. And the story's not looking good for NBC the more it evolves. NBC's original position was, it's a freelancer, it's not somebody on our payroll. They got pulled over by the police for some unrelated whatever, they're getting a ticket, and they just happened to be roughly in the same area as the bus that had the jury members on it. It's circumstantial. We don't agree with it, but we're going to accept it, but this ain't our guy. And they weren't doing anything on the nasty. And then there was like, oh no, they were going after trying maybe to get pictures of the jurors or something, like we get some pictures, the jurors go, which this is no bueno. The producer at MSNBC deleted their LinkedIn and deleted their Twitter. And it's starting to kind of, because as the story's been evolving, it's kind of like, no, the producer was like, yeah, go follow the bus. So some legal experts that I saw were basically saying the judge did the right thing here. I'm just sharing what people that watch this stuff are saying. And that's what they're saying. But this was probably a good call from the judge. So, what I'm hoping for is a hung jury, right? This is the direct opposite of Derek. When Derek Chauvin, I just kept saying, only takes one. Just takes one juror. Thin blue line. I don't know. I was really surprised to show it. And when they came back that fast, I was like, oh, Chauvin's done. Although that was a masterwork that they did in prosecution. Right now, what I'm hoping for Kyle is a hung jury, because then the judge is just, well, that's it, hung jury. Prosecutor will get to decide if oh, yes, we're going to prosecute this again, and we're not going to have you as the judge this time. So anyway, beat that one to the ground. The defense rested in the Arbery murder trial today, so that will go to final arguments, and that will probably go to deliberation right before Thanksgiving. I doubt that we'll get a finding before the Thanksgiving holiday. That's my guess. I don't think we'll hear anything next week. I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the Rittenhouse trial. And I don't know if the judge is going to be like, hey, I want you to deliberate over the weekend. They could. We'll see what happens. That'll be very interesting to see. Yeah, true, Dora. Oh my God, Rachel, I saw that with the judge on the, I'll take a picture and now look what happened to the picture. It's because that picture's of the whole conversation, you dumbass. They didn't change anything. You took a picture of the conversation. By the way, I hate the fact that in Apple, if you would just want to screenshot that you get the whole thing, and then you have to take that and then screen. I hate that about Apple. Android don't roll that way, dog. Anyway, ladies, this one's for the ladies. Ann Arbor, Michigan is the first city in the United States to require that feminine hygiene products be provided for free in every public restroom in the city. That one's for the ladies. I just learned something. Android got a setting for that, but it turned off. iPhone should be that way too. No, that's interesting. Sidewalk Hunters, I'm reading that. It's interesting. That's interesting. Maybe they got a little too close in the following department. Don't know. But anyway, there. Ann Arbor, Michigan. Free lady products. All the bathroom. I see ladies are happy about this. Oklahoma governor commuted Julius Jones' death penalty sentence to life in prison without parole. Of course, the good news is Julius Jones did not get executed today for a crime that there is just insurmountable amount of evidence to say it's impossible that he committed. That's the good news. Now, the real work begins, which is getting this overturned. I'm going to give like a yay to the governor of Oklahoma. People know I give credit where credit's due, and I'm going to give the governor of Oklahoma yay for what he did, because he could have punted it. There are probably, right, because there's no such thing as moderate Republicans in Oklahoma. So he probably pissed off people in his base doing this, to be really honest. So I think, if this was, what would a Greg Abbott done? You're going to ride lightning, boy, because that's how we roll here in Texas. Right. That's what Greg Abbott would have done. So what would a Ron DeSantis done? What would a Kemp in Georgia done? What would have Kate Ivey in Alabama done, right? We could just keep going, right? We know what they done. Ride the lightning. You ride the stainless steel express. So, yay, Oklahoma. Excuse me. Rep. Gozar the Gozerian, first congressperson to be censured since 2010. Who'd have thought making a snuff video about a fantasy, weird, badly done anime snuff video about another congressperson could have consequences. And what did Gozar the Gozerian do tonight? Well, he did what any other rational person who just got the smackdown from his peers. He retweeted the same video tonight. That's what Gozar the Gozerian did. Gozar the Gozerian? Good evening. As a duly appointed representative of the nation of the United States, as well as the District of Columbia and the capital of Washington, I bid you greetings. We request that you stop doing politician stuff and go back from the hole that you came from in Arizona or any other convenient dimensional gateway that you came from. I'm working on that. I got to work on that some more. Jake Angeli, Q Shaman, 41 months. He got 41 months in prison for his actions on the January 6th insurrection. I got some mixed feelings on this one, because there's other people that should have got much harsher sentences, and within the sentencing guidelines could have got harsher sentences and didn't. And Jake's a sick puppy. And I know I use those words flippantly, and I didn't. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, man, that's really insulting to mental illness. And that's my bias because he participated in the insurrection. But Jake is a sick guy. He's a really sick guy, and they prove that he has huge mental illness, and he got down a crazy rabbit hole because of all of this. So I don't know. This is tough. Should he be locked up and thrown away? Yeah. But, this goes against my principles of we use our prisons as mental health hospitals. 60% of people that show up in prisons are seriously mental ill, and most of them get even more mentally ill while they're in prison and come out in a worse state than where they started. So, but we don't have anything else. We don't have Arkham Asylum, for lack of any other analogy to put here. There isn't somewhere we can put people like Jake Angeli, where there is consequences, but there is also compassionate treatment. Consistent in my values, all. I'm consistent in my values. And that's why I'm like, when I heard it, I was kind of like, yeah, good. Good. Kind of like the whole local, yay. Yay. Tough lad and I would like to get out of jail now. It's more awful than what I thought. Get bent. You're not mentally ill. You're just evil. And you're exactly where you belong. And you should be there longer. And I'm still convinced that like Ethan Nordine was like set up, was like the fall guy. Enrique's not dumb. You don't get to be where Enrique got by being stupid. He's not a stupid guy. Right? He just waltzed into Washington, D.C. on January 4th. Oh, I've been arrested, and I've been told to go home, and I'm told I can't be seen in Washington, D.C. Hey, you're in charge of this whole thing. Have fun storming the castle, boys. I really think this was Enrique's chessboard. I really, really do. I think he threw, which is fine. Couldn't have thrown a nicer set of guys under the bus, but I think he threw them under the bus. I don't see how a single Proud Boy could ever trust him again. I don't. And I've said before, that's a conversation, and I know it would never happen. And mods and admins know there's stuff, and there's stuff, and it's like, yeah, I know things. No, I can't tell you, right? I could like keep it. I would love to know the story, and I would never tell. I'd just love to know because there's a story there. Anyway. Steve Bannon, Steve Bannon kind of got a reality check today, because Steve Bannon, he's been operating for like decades. I am above the law. Remember the old South Park with the Chewbacca defense and the guy from the record company? I am above the law. Anyway, slick his hair back. Total Steve Bannon now. Although that guy was with the bad comb over. Steve Bannon. One thing I will say, I hate Steve Bannon and his hair at 67 years. I hate you. Give me your goddamn hair. Hate that. But Bannon's getting like a big dose of reality today because the judge is like, we're not slowing anything down, buddy. You're not you've had all this time. No. There's no, let's do this. As a matter of fact, like the judge was like, you're lucky your happy ass isn't sitting in a jail cell right now. And you don't cool some of this stuff. I'm going to put your happy ass in the jail cell. to maybe compel you on the idea of moving things a little faster. And the other thing is that his attorneys basically had to admit today is like, yeah, we got the whole executive privilege thing. Yeah, we got nothing. Like, Bannon is screwed. He is so screwed. But Pam, he has so much of it. He just has a bad haircut. I don't need a haircut anymore. I'm darn close to just like going with the whole. All right, that's it. Where's the whole razor and the shaving cream? It's just all coming off. Ok, para estar, mire que hora sale por. There's only like 2 words I don't get in that sentence. Gosh darn it. Oh, he got bad skin. What a good hairstyle you have. Yeah. Off. Oh, really? Oh, just a Kiwi gal. That link looks delicious. Looks delicious. So good. There's another person. They're only 27 years old. They look like they're in their early 40s. I'm not mentioning names. People know who I'm talking about. Because that would be ugly of me to mention names. You all can talk amongst yourselves. All right, Malcontent. I think I have covered everything I'm here to cover tonight, and I probably went way longer than... Oh, actually, no. Oh, yeah, I did. I went way longer. I went 30 minutes over again. Bannon? It wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Oh, yeah, one last thing I always like to do before I sign off, because we're coming to the weekend, I always like to... And I have a special... Oh, and I got actually 2 more things. 2 more things I want to talk about. The first thing I'm going to end with the really good news. I want to talk about the anti-vax people. First of all, there are less and less of them for multiple reasons. I know I'm laughing. It's because I'm kind of punch drunk tired at this point. But there's less and less of them for obvious multiple reasons. Oh my God. Y'all, I got to hit the technical difficulty thing. The cat wanted to die. You wanted to die tonight? Is that it? You're like, hey, my female human authority figure has been working all day and has to work at the hospital again tomorrow. And I just thought I'd go stand outside the door and sing the song of my people to her, and get turned into a floor mat. I want to talk about it. Right? I want to talk about it. It's Kitty Davis Court. I couldn't resist. Meow 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 meow. Now I have to talk seriously with a face covered in cat hair. And no. You effed up. You're right here because you effed up. I want to talk about the anti-vax for a minute. Hey, just a Kiwi gal. Look, I want everybody read this. Read, darn cat. Read this. Death. Read that. Everyone, read that. I'm seeing a strange coalition form between anti-vax, anti-mandate, anti-5G, anti-1080. I don't know what 1080 is. Racist, misogynists, extreme environmentalists, and disaffected Maori indigenous. Does this sound familiar? It's the same disinformation playbook that is coming out largely from Russia. That's what it is. That's what it is. What you described is what's going on here in the United States. It's the exact same playbook, and it's out of Russia. And they are down the same disinformation rabbit hole, and I got no answer on how to fight it. This is a huge comet up here. Oh, wow, we're seeing the same thing we're seeing in the United States all of a sudden because you're being targeted with Russian misinformation. And the reason you're being targeted with it, it's very profitable. It's very profitable. There is money to be made. And there's a lot of companies out of Cyprus that are disseminating this information, and they're all shell companies for Russian ops. And I'm actually talking to somebody who is an expert in disinformation about doing like a Q&A in a show. FYI. That isn't the good thing we'll talk about. But I do want to get into this whole anti-vax thing here before I kill the cat. And I'm going to kill you here on TV. No, you're not, because you love me. You're silly. I don't know. I'm going to just look all content now. My view on the whole thing here is changing with the anti-vax. Because there's not many of you left. You're definitely better funded. You're definitely better organized. And you have backing, whether you realize it or not, from foreign nationals who are using you to help tear the country apart and to tear Western society apart. That's not where it actually started. I've already explained it, and I'm not going to explain it again. See, here's the thing. You be you. Seriously, just you be you. All right? Your body, your choice, right? That's your argument. You know where my head's at on this now? Okay, that's fine. Your body, your choice. You know what? For the almost 35% of parents who lived in the 98033 in Kirkland, who got their kids vaccinated, their 5 to 11-year-olds in the 5 weeks, in the first week, yeah, let them be them. Their body, their choice. Their kids, their choice. What business do you have to tell them how to live their life? Just as they have no business to tell you how, right? Fine. You be you. And they'll be them. And we'll go back to happy. Isn't that what you kind of wanted in the first place? And you can just be quiet. And for those of us who want to get our boosters, and we've already accepted we're going to have to get them every 6 to 12 months until either we get to endemic or we get a pill that when you get sick, you take the pill and it's all better, or we get a better vax, which is kind of what happened with polio, particularly in polio. It's a great example of that. There are way more of us than you that are like, this is the way it's going to be. Then that's fine. And you be you. Because the bottom line is, everybody has a dance with COVID coming up. Everybody. One way or another, it's going to sort it all self out, right? You're just living in fear. That's what. I'm not living in fear. You're just projecting your fears on me. Why do you care? Why do you even care if I'm living in fear? You be you. Embrace it. We're reaching the point. There's 62 million American adults still not vaccinated, and there's probably no convincing them. I'm pretty convinced of that. 62 million American adults who are 16 and up, who are eligible, and they're unvaxxed. I'm probably freely just going to say right now, you probably are not going to convince 40, not 40, you're probably not going to convince 20, no matter what, the best, 25, 30 million, half of them. You're not going to convince, it doesn't matter. You give them all of George Soros' Bill Gates' money. All you got to do is take the shot. It's a trap. I'm not doing it. I want their money and power and everything that it gets me. And my free pass to the Illuminati and access to the Jewish space laser on Thursdays. I'm not falling for it. Not going to convince them. So, then that's fine. You be you. All right? You could stop. You stop with the disinformation. You could stop because they're already vaxxed. There's nothing to disinfo anymore. So you be you. And we'll be us. And everyone will be happy. And it will all solve itself. And there'll be those of us who get our boosters every 6 to 12 months and take our Plaxavid if we get sick because we trust science, we trust reason, we trust experts. And right now the data says that people that generally do that, it all works out pretty good for them. You want to go ahead and take your dewormer and drink your pine needle tea and your vitamin C and D, and then have at it. You be you. But don't force you on other people anymore, okay? We'll call it good. I beat that one into the ground. Last one. Oh my God, Joy, I got told that last night. Go do your research. Rumble is not a place to do research, okay? You can't trust Google. You got to use that DuckDuckGo because the Google, they suppress. It's run by liberals, the Google. Got to use that DuckDuckGo or the Yahoo. I think Yahoo's just rebranded Bing, if I remember. Here's the last one. Guess who's coming back on the show? It might just be one show. But Jennifer's going to come back. Jennifer's coming back. We're going to do a Thanksgiving special. Not going to be on Thanksgiving. I do remember what you said about JoJo. About DuckDuckGo. I have stories. I could tell stories about Alta Vista. Oh, what could have been at Alta Vista. Alta Vista was created by Digital Equipment Corporation. Digital Equipment Corporation was bought by Compaq. Compaq owned Alta Vista. When Alta Vista was like, that's the search engine. It would because Yahoo was a portal. It was a portal that had search, but it was curated results. Alta Vista was the Google before there was Google. Compaq I was at Compaq when they owned that technology. Oh, I got stories. Anyway, got to use. Oh my God, Lycos. now we're talking ancient. Totally forgot about Lycos. Jen coming back. We're going to be doing a Thanksgiving special. It's going to be on Monday. It's going to be vegan friendly. It is not going to include any turkey meat. Ask Jeeves wanted me to go to work for them once upon a time, a long time ago. That's a whole nother. One day I'll write my book about my days in tech. Totally forgot about Lycos. But I think I've kind of covered everything I'm going to cover tonight. I now have to go do a physical exam of the inside of my eyelids. And before I do that physical exam, I need to go eat some food. But the inside of my eyelids, need a very intense inspection. And I think if anything or anyone or any circumstances wakes me up in the middle of the night tonight, you might be reading about me in the news tomorrow. Oh, Shelley, I love this one. That started on TikTok, by the way. Yes. This piece of misinformation. You go get the vax, but it's okay. So what you do, they're telling you got to go get the vax. I don't know if this person really believes this or is this just some brilliance to convince people to get, because I've thought about it. It's like, we have talked, it's like, what disinformation could you possibly create and spread to get people to believe that if they get the vax, they're either going to get some benefit or they're going to be something that they can do and then it don't matter. And someone came up with genius, right? It's the baking soda, the Epsom salts, and the borax. And the baking soda, like the one that hurts my brain of those three is the baking soda. And it's not because why would you soak in baking soda? I get it, right? I know you put the baking to give you the smooth, soft skin. Epsom salts, it's not junk science, but it kind of falls into that category. There's more than a placebo effect, right? Epsom salts, but in the big scheme of things from a medicinal standpoint, it's certainly not going to reverse any vaccine. You're supposed to use the baking soda because that draws the radiation out of your body. Now, I had no idea that it was radioactive to begin with. I missed that memo. But I can tell you, I do not set off Geiger counters, and I don't glow in the dark. I still am only attracted to women. Nothing magnetic sticks to me. My cell phone performance hasn't got better. Windows 11 has not downloaded in my brain. Bill Gates is not giving me orders in my sleep. I'm very disappointed. None of this stuff has happened. But yes, the baking soda they claim draws the radiation out of you. Amazing that, after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they didn't have this. Amazing that the Russians, after Chernobyl, that they didn't have baking soda, apparently. Amazing after Fukushima melted down and tens of thousands of Japanese were exposed to significant amount of radiation. Japan apparently didn't have baking soda. I now know that for the earthquake, the oh my goodness, the Chuds were serious about the Civil War, the 9/11 earthquake, oh wow, they were. You know what? China actually is attacking at that kit. Apparently, you need a big box of baking soda to draw the radiation out of your body. Like the Epsom, I'm like, whatever. Look, you got to convince yourself on that. And then the borax is like, particularly, like, I think because the amount of borax they say to put in the water, I'm thinking like, okay, for the dude, I'm like, oh, ow. This is ow for this meat here. It kind of ow for the, I'm not going to, it's the tea, right? It's ow, but for a woman, I'm like, oh, damn. Oh my goodness. Oh no. No. This sounds really bad. I can't imagine. And it makes your fridge smell better. I'm reading this comment. Oh my God. Kiwi girl is just making my night tonight. She's like, this is the second amazing comment tonight. Oh my God. They're all fused together. That's right. Each shot gets you closer to becoming a transformer. Okay. I'm so done. I am. I'm done. That's it. Monday, Thanksgiving special with Jennifer. Good night, malcontents.
You're the white devil, bitch! Damn!
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontents Antifa, fuck you!
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible